What you making now, Karen?
I'm going to make cheap beef stroganoff. And no, I have not done this before, so hey, it's always a first, right?
We're Dave and Karen from Watts on Wheels, and we sold our sticks and bricks to RV full-time now that we are retired. We travel with our heavy-duty truck Leroy, our 2 K&N motorcycles, our DRV Dixie, and our smart car Zippy. Don't forget to subscribe and click on that bell to be notified when we post a new video.
Here's the ingredients. First of all, you're going to need a pound of ground beef. Generally, I like to buy these from Walmart. This is 85%. Usually the ones that you see at Walmart are 73 or 80. And you might not have known this, but if you go to the freezer section, you can get 85% cheaper than the 80% that's already thawed. Here's a tip for you. Going to be needing 1 onion chopped up, 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. I'm going to be using about 3 tablespoons of butter. Going to need 1.5 cups of beef broth. You can buy that already in a box, or I like this stuff because I just think it's got so much more flavor. So I've mixed a couple teaspoons with 1.5 cups of hot water so that it will melt. 1 can of cream of mushroom soup, and 1 teaspoon of minced garlic. That's the ingredients I'll be using, but first I'm going to make homemade noodles. So now I'm going to attempt to make homemade noodles. Never done this before, but I'm going to use the same recipe that I used for the dumplings in the Drunken Kitchen episode, if you happen to see that, where we made chicken paprikash. So I'm going to see if it'll work for noodles. First thing I'm going to need is 2 cups of all-purpose flour, a teaspoon of salt, the fancy measuring, and 2 tablespoons of oil. I'm using olive oil because that's what I happen to have. You could use vegetable oil or whatever you like. I don't suggest motor oil. And an egg. And 1/2 cup of warm water. Mix this up. Then I'm going to knead it. Put it out here, it makes it easier. Put it back in the bowl, and I'm going to cover it. I'm going to start a pot of water with a little salt in it, and come back in 20 minutes and start making my noodles so I can boil them. Alright, it's been 20 minutes, so we're going to see if I can figure out how to make noodles. I don't have...
So what you're telling me is you're going to be rolling in the dough?
What I don't have is a rolling pin. Best thing I could come up with was bottle of wine. So I'm going to attempt to use that. I don't know if anybody else has done that before, but
Yeah, it should work.
it'll take about 1/4 to 1/3 of my mixture. I'll put a little flour out here. And let's see what happens. How thick do you think, Dave? I mean, you want them kind of thick.
You want them kind of thick, about 1/8 of an inch, probably less than 1/8, about 1/16 of an inch.
Oh, that's really thin.
They swell up when you cook them.
Oh, that's true. You know, that's a bad place to do this because I don't want to cut on here. I just don't want it to stick.
Yeah.
Just
Alright.
about like this.
Yeah, about 1 inch wide, yeah.
It's not 1 inch, it's about 1/2 inch.
Where'd you go to school at?
Oh yeah, I understand what 3 inches looks like.
That's right.
Okay. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, well.
I'm sure there's a better way of doing this. I wonder if my fingers might be better. Yeah, but it kind of smashes them when you do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
The dumplings came out really good in the chicken paprikash. Wait till they all float, and then once they all float, I'm going to wait 1 minute. That's how we did it with the other recipe, and it came out good.
Here's a hint for you. Dave figured out that if we took the dough and pulled it off the board, put more flour on the board, flip the dough over, then cut it, it would slide right into the pot with no problem.
Okay. I'll let you sample before I do the next batch.
Alright. I think it'll work.
Then I'm just going to use that same plastic I was using to cover the bowl before. And I'm going to put it over my noodles so that they don't dry out. Okay, now for the good stuff. I'm going to take my ground beef and my onions. I like lots of onions. I'm just going to cook this up until the meat's done. We're getting close to the meat being done, so I'm going to put in a teaspoon of garlic, minced garlic. It's a little added flavor. Let it finish cooking. It's all done. By the way, this is the same pot that I cooked the noodles in, so I didn't waste any pots. I'm going to pour all this into this little paper bowl because I don't want to have to wash any more bowls. You can strain it if you don't like having any of the fat in there, but since this is 85%, there's not that much fat in it, and I like it for the extra flavor, so I'm leaving it in. I'm going to put 3 tablespoons of butter in. And then I'm going to put 3 tablespoons of flour in here, a little at a time. Make a roux. Equal parts butter and flour for a roux. And I'll let this cook for about 2 minutes so I can get the floury taste out of it. You'll probably see that it'll probably turn a slight brown color. Okay, now I'm going to add my 1½ cups of beef broth. And I'm going to keep stirring this to get the lumps out and get it to thicken up. And you want this on high. You want it to boil. That's when the magic happens. When it starts to boil.
Yes, it does. Starting to get thick.
Yep, let's turn it back down a little bit. And now I'm going to add my cream of mushroom soup. You did see that, right? The cream of mushroom soup. And I'm also going to stir in the ingredient I forgot to tell you about. It's a very important one, which is 1 cup of sour cream. At this point, you want to add salt and pepper to taste. So I'm going to start with a teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to go with a teaspoon of pepper. We like pepper. Get that mixed up good. Now I'm going to put my meat back in. Alright, ready to go. So my noodles over here, still warm. You can always put them back in the microwave if you needed to. Some for me, a lot for you. You can probably sprinkle a little parsley on there to make it look pretty. Alright, give it a try, Dave.
Let's give it a whirl.
My cheap ground beef stroganoff.
Tastes good to me.
Does it?
Tastes like stroganoff. Oh yeah, good.
Bon appetit! Beef stroganoff! I'm surprised how good that is.
It's good.
It is good. The noodles are good.
Yeah. How about that?
I didn't know if they'd work out. They're good.
Even a blind squirrel finds a noodle once in a while. The noodles are good. They're hearty. I'd give a 10.
You would?
Yeah,
I give it an 8.
You give it an 8?
Because it's cheap meat. Of course, no meat's cheap anymore.
It's got good flavor.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up. We'd love to hear from you in the comments below, even if it's just to say hi. Don't forget to subscribe.